Can you tell I'm in denial?
You can't stay at the top forever.
I was also very surprised when I looked at my phone and saw Joe Girardi dismissed.
Well, I think mine were with common sense.
I think now belongs in the all-time greats top 10.
Boston, I really think only got to this point because of a guy named Chris Middleton being out for the Bucks.
That power play just was unbearable. It was humming.
Man, am I happy. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew he was going to come back.
When I think of New York Yankees now, it's Judge. Probably people in the past when Jeter was coming up.
I would be shocked. A little bit hurt.
Hey, this is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, TexasFootball.com, and Valley Sports Southwest. You are listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by the man that I'm very interested to see your take on this, Austin, as Shemar Stewart has signed, but there were compromises on both sides of this deal.
Yeah, there's a couple questions I will have regarding this, but we'll save that for later in the video. Finally, they got a deal done. There's been a lot of holdouts for the Bengals this year, especially on the defensive side. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson is still holding out. And if you guys saw our video yesterday, which was the top 10 defensive lineman, he made an appearance on there, at least for me. But the Bengals still have a lot of work to do this offseason, but I'm glad they got someone signed. Do you think this hurts his development because he took so long he missed rookie camp and now it's OTAs, right? Do you think this hurts his development, or do you think that he'll be okay when it comes to the season starting?
I think it will hurt his development a little bit because he's a player that, from what I remember in the draft, kind of needed some development, and he does have a lot of upside, but as many reps as he could get would be helpful, and he missed out on a few of those, but it's not super detrimental on it, but I do think there is an effect.
Yeah, I definitely could see it. If Trey Hendrickson was practicing with the team, I would say no, it doesn't really affect him, but you don't really have that mentor for him, the guy that he really wants to base his entire career off of becoming as good as him. So I definitely feel like the ability for him to learn is definitely diminished because they are not going to be able to teach him everything that they want to be able to teach him. Now, I do think that the Bengals, if they do still sign Trey Hendrickson, will be in a decent spot, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. What were I don't know if you've looked. What were the concessions that both sides made to come to a contract agreement?
Yeah. So I actually looked at that because Stewart actually agreed to the language the Bengals wanted to put in, which I was surprised at. But yeah, so they reworded the clause, but it wasn't dropped entirely. But the concession for Stewart was he got more money. So that is where the clause that was was the basis of the standoff. It would have allowed the guaranteed money to be voided if he engaged in detrimental conduct. However, it wasn't dropped entirely, but kind of got softened. And then Stewart gets $500,000 of his signing bonus up front instead of December. That's the compromise. And I think he did get a more lucrative contract compared to previous picks at number 17. However, the thing that I'm interested in kind of this voided contract, because we saw this with Wilkins a few days ago, but I understand it seemed like both sides needed to compromise because it didn't look like one side was going to win. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out because I don't think his contract gets voided, but I wonder if the Bengals are in a money crunch if they do void it.
Yeah, it's I don't really know how it's going to work out. I still hold the point of, like, if you ever thought that he was going to get arrested, why draft him? So I just feel like that language is a little bit I don't know why it needs to be included. Now, I understand that the league has had some people get arrested and stuff like that. But again, I don't know why you would draft a guy if there were personal or personality problems that you thought that he may engage in illegal activity. But we'll see how this affects the locker room. And I do think that they desperately need Trey Hendrickson to compete this year. But at least they got one part of it done on the defensive side, at least.
Yeah, and I'm very interested because, of course, he would be the succession to Trey Hendrickson, but what they're trying to compete now. So Shemar Stewart shouldn't be expected to replace Hendrickson. It could just be an addition. So another thing is, I'm also curious, what are the contracts in the NFL like compared to this? Is this a thing that the Bengals were trying to do, or is this other deals teams do? And it's just players usually agree to it.
From what I understand, this is not something that's expressively common, at least from what I understand. I mean, there's not many guys that hold out, especially in the league where they are. Again, I just don't know if teams draft guys with the expectation that they're going to get arrested, right? I just don't think that really happens. And because I don't think that happens, I find it hard to believe that they are there's many of them that experience similar treatment to that of what Shemar Stewart just had to go through.
Yeah. So I'm very interested as well, and you make great points on why do it. And yeah, I wish you could get a hold of the contract, which I don't think you can, but it is going to be interesting. Do they finally settle up and get Trey Hendrickson done, or does that kind of keep going? Because I think they would be able to get it done. It seems like Cincinnati is realizing they need to figure things out, and that's why they made that concession with Stewart.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, yeah, we won't find out if this deal comes to haunt Stewart unless he is voided and what that whole saga goes. But let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.